right, well, here we are back here at the NRB conference in 2025, Truth and Liberty here, and just really excited to have another guest with us. And this is Bradley Pierce, and the president and founder of Abolish Abortion, or the Foundation to Abolish Abortion, right?
That's right.
So Bradley is an attorney who also represents people all over America fighting for our fundamental rights and liberties, including homeschooling, but many other things. So Brad, it's great to have you joining me here in our booth at NRB.
Great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us about your organization, the Foundation to Abolish Abortion.
Yeah, so we started a few years ago. We believe in that every child is made in the image of God, and that from the moment of fertilization, or as the Bible puts it, conception, that they should be protected with the same laws protecting the rest of us. We have abortion in this country. Unfortunately, the abortion numbers, even after the Dobbs case, are higher than they even were 10 years before Dobbs overall across the country. And so there's still a lot of work to do. And so that's what we do. We seek the change the law so they provide equal protection to every human being.
So Brad, there's a lot of pro-life organizations out there, and they do just amazing work, all of them. But I don't hear this argument very often of equal protection. So being a lawyer, I know where that's coming from, but can you talk about that a little bit? That's coming out of the Constitution. What are you saying?
Yeah, as you know, so the 14th Amendment to the Constitution says no state shall deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. So we believe, and the pro-life movement has said for over 50 years, that fetuses or preborn human beings are persons, and so we believe that, well, then let's act like that, right? Let's act like that. The Supreme Court hasn't yet ruled that they are persons, and so we hope that they will at some point. But in the meantime, we believe that states should be providing the equal protection of the law. So we're part of writing legislation like that across the country. We've been doing that since 2017, and and this year we've got at least 16 states, already 12 bills that have been filed around the country. We expect it to be 16 to 20 that will be equal protection bills.
Wow. Talk for a little bit, if you would, about if this did become law in America, that unborn children are full persons under the law. That would be a radical development that would change everything. Right. Yeah, can you talk about that?
Yeah, well, it's really, we don't expect that it's going to happen overnight, but it's something that, again, we call ourselves abolitionists. We think that, we're all pro-life in the sense that we're for life, but we think it's best to have it even more specific. Like, here's how we want to deal with this issue, and that is to actually abolish abortion. How did we abolish slavery? It wasn't overnight. No. It took a long time, but we did it by making it a crime, right? By making it illegal, and so that's what we think we should do with abortion. And we know it's going to take time, but we're ready to work for that.
We abolished slavery when we finally came to grips with the fundamental fact that all people, regardless of their race, are persons, are human beings with full equal rights. Right. And the debate today in abortion, is it really any different?
Right, exactly. Well, today we have, again, it's a very similar debate to what we saw 150 years ago, or 170 years ago. And that is, two things. Are they human? That's question number one. And then even if they are human, does someone's rights trump their rights, right? Some people at that time, like we've done throughout human history, right? We dehumanize people in order so we can oppress them, or we treat them as, well, they're human, but they're subhuman. We do that, and people do that with preborn children. But then there's a lot of the abortion debate, a lot of the pro-abortion philosophers and academics. Many of them are even kind of beyond that. They're like, well, yeah, we agree it is a human being from conception, but the mom's rights still trump the baby's rights. And so, it's kind of what we saw with slavery as well. Like, well, yeah, they're human, but our rights to use them still trump their rights or they have some rights, but we have more rights. And, that's what we see today, that, kind of might makes right, ultimately, at the end of the day.
Might makes right, yeah.
And that's not a biblical position, certainly not a constitutional position either.
Well, yeah, so just going back to slavery, from a legal argument perspective, it was, well, this is my property, right?
Right.
A slave is property,
Exactly.
and my property right trumps their freedom right.
Right.
And that was, indefensible morally and philosophically.
Right.
Now we're in the abortion debate, and it's my convenience right.
Right.
And you can stack up everything from money to just the difficulty of raising children, all these burdens
Right.
against the right to life.
Right. Exactly.
And is that a morally defensible, philosophically defensible position?
It's certainly not. But I mean, it's what we hear all the time, right? My body, my choice. Well, there's a baby inside your body. It's not just your body. Yeah, but that baby's using my body, so ultimately it's up to me whether that baby stays or not. And that's not, that's treating them like subhuman and oppressing them. So we believe that we already have laws that make it illegal to murder people. Mm-hmm. They're called homicide laws. And so we believe that those laws should apply to people before they're born, just like they already provide protection for people after they're born.
So if we come to an agreement, unborn babies are persons under the law,
Right.
then every law that protects persons outside the womb should also protect them inside the womb. Is that kind of where you're driving?
At the very least, laws like the 14th Amendment a little earlier talks about laws protecting life, liberty, and property.
Yeah.
Right. So at least the laws protecting life, liberty, and property should equally protect people inside the womb as they already do outside the womb.
Yeah. A lot of times when you're a maverick and you're breaking ground and saying things people aren't used to hearing, sometimes you can get a lot of blank stares or maybe, okay, sure, bye.
Right.
How's it going
Yeah.
with you on this abolition argument?
Definitely for a number of years it was that way. So we started doing this kind of toward the end of 2015, early 2016 here in Texas. And actually, from most, like your average pro-life person, when we talked to them about this, most of them were like, yeah, I agree with that. That's, wait, is that not what we're already doing? Is that not what we're already doing? I thought that's what we were already doing. So a lot of people, they think that it's what most pro-life organizations are doing, and whenever it's not. It's a pretty novel thing. That there's some people that have been seeking this for a long time, but as far as the broader pro-life movement, it's definitely something new.
So with the overturn of Roe versus Wade, the Dobbs decision, which you mentioned earlier, President Trump and candidate Trump, before he was elected, his position was, Dobbs put it back to the states, right? And so that's his position. He's pretty well sticking to it.
Right.
But is that legally sound?
I don't think so. It's something that, that's kind of what the Dobbs decision sort of said, not exactly that. It said leave it to the people and the people as representatives, is what the case said. We actually submitted a brief in the Dobbs case. We had 21 organizations sign on, 20 state legislators sign on to that. And we did argue, overturn Roe versus Wade. It's unconstitutional, it's evil. But then go beyond that. Find that a fetus is a person under the 14th Amendment. The court ultimately did overturn Roe, so we're grateful that excuse is gone. But now, on the issue of personhood, the Supreme Court just kind of washed their hands and just said, we're not going to get to that. Even though I think they have a duty to under the 14th Amendment.
Well, so let's say, is it a state's issue? Now, the 14th Amendment, the one you're talking about, no state shall deprive a person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person the equal protection of the laws.
Right.
It also gives Congress the power to enforce the provisions of that amendment, does it not?
Exactly, yeah, Section 5.
And so doesn't that make it a federal issue?
I think it is a federal issue. I think ultimately, the whole idea that this was solely a state issue was decided in the Civil War, right? Before that, we said, yes, 1750, we had basically slavery in every state. By 1850 or so, there are a lot of states that had abolished it, but a lot of states that had not. From the federal level, we said, hey, that's okay. It's up to the states, right? We leave it to the states. After the Civil War, we decided there's lots of issues that still are state issues, but the issue of equal protection is not one of them anymore. The issue of slavery is not one of them anymore. And so we took that and said that's now a federal issue. The states have to provide equal protection.
Well, Bradley, we're kind of out of time for this little interview, but I want people to know about your organization. What's your website?
FAA.life. People can find out about us there or on all the social media.
FAA.life, and that's not the Federal Aviation Administration.
Thankfully not.
That's the Foundation to Abolish Abortion.
That's right.
And you guys are active in state legislatures all over the country, advocating for abolition measures. And we really appreciate what you're doing, and I appreciate you coming on Truth and Liberty.
Thank you. It's been great to be
great.
here. Appreciate it.